Hey everybody, Kelly Engineering here, and welcome to the Mod Spotlight on MagnetiCraft version 2.5.2, otherwise known as the last version. This mod is no longer being maintained, but it's come to my attention that there's still a lot of mysteries about this, and it's not really used because parts of it are pretty complicated. So yeah, I'm here to explain everything about it, at least everything that I can get into. Once again, this is going to be a very long episode, just like the RF Tools Dimension episode, so I'll be timestamping everything in the description so that you can just click and go wherever you need to go for whatever question that you may have. But first, let's get to it. The first thing that you're going to want to make is a magnet. You're going to need 4 lapis, 4 redstone, and a piece of iron, and with that, you will make this magnet. And a magnet and any book combined in a crafting grid. This is a semi-shapeless recipe, so it doesn't work right here, but so long as a magnet and a book are next to each other in the crafting grid, then you can get the MagnetiCraft manual. And the MagnetiCraft manual just has everything not very explained very well, but explained adequately enough that you can get through it. But with this MagnetiCraft manual, we're going to move on. I will be going through this as if this was a survival server, so I'm not going to immediately give myself like a steel hammer and start going through the crushing table. Everything is going to be done in an order as if you were playing this on a survival server. But let's move on to the crushing table. The crushing table is going to be probably one of the first things that you create in MagnetiCraft, and it's made with 3 slabs, 3 planks, 1 piece of wood, and 2 sticks. So let's make that up right now. 1 piece of wood, 3 planks, 2 sticks, and 3 slabs. And bam, you get the crushing table. So if you set this down right now, whoop, I do not want to do that, and I'll get rid of this spare one. If you look at the crushing table recipes, it can be used for quite a bit of things. So if you have any of the mob heads, they can be turned into 8 of whatever the prime drop for that mob is, or you can turn various ores into rocky chunks, and the rocky chunks are used in the Sluice Box, which is what we're going to create next. But the primary thing that you're going to use with the crushing table are plates, or particularly light plates. But the crushing table is useless to you without a hammer, so the first hammer in the mod is the stone hammer. We can create a stone hammer right now. So 2 sticks, 3 pieces of cobblestone here, and 1 right there. And you have a stone hammer. I'm going to give myself a piece of iron ore. So the amount of thwacks it takes, you just right-click on the table, and then with your hammer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right-click again, and you'll have your rocky chunk. I'm going to give myself another ore. 64, why not? Because the crushing table, the Sluice Box, the crushing table recognizes what the last thing you set on it is. So I have nothing in my hand, but if I right-click, or stone hammer in your hand, if you right-click, the last thing that was on the table will populate it again. So all you have to do is just keep right-clicking, and you can go through all of your stuff. And this works with anything. So unfortunately, if I wanted to do copper ore, oh, there's no oh, copper ore isn't called copper ore in this mod. I forgot about that. So the MagnetiCraft ores, I cannot type right now. Blech. The MagnetiCraft ores are actually called something different. So copper is calicopperite, lead is galena and cobaltite, whatever. Wolframite is tungsten, and those are the 3 ores that you're worried about in MagnetiCraft. The other stuff is going to be added if you have the applicable mod that like adds cobalt to the game, or pyrite, what have you. So yeah, the copper, the lead, and the tungsten are what you're worried about. The ores that MagnetiCraft adds are the aforementioned calcopperite, which is just copper. It's found in between Y level 70 and 10, and it looks like this is this light brownish orange color. You have galena, which is lead, found between Y levels 80 and 2. Wolframite, which is tungsten, found between Y levels 60 and 20. And you have pyrite, otherwise known as fool's gold. And I have the pyrite right here, and then a piece of gold right here, just to show you that they look very similar. the way that you can definitely tell them apart is that pyrite is found between Y level 30 and 100, which is well above what by default, I should say. All of these are by default in the configs, but you can change them. And the MagnetiCraft manual won't change to match what the config says. It will always say between 30 and 100. But yeah, that's something that you can definitely change. And yeah, that's how you can tell the pyrite apart, is the Y level it's found at is definitely different in normal biomes. So those are the 4 ores that you'll be wanting plenty of, especially the copper, prior to actually getting into MagnetiCraft Hardcore. So now that you have some ores and you've taken them to the crushing table to actually get some rocky chunks, it's time to make the Sluice Box. The Sluice Box is made with 2 planks of any type, 2 sticks, 3 slabs, and an iron mesh. The iron mesh is made with light iron plates, so you're also going to have to use the crushing table for that, and string. So once you have all of that stuff, you can make the Sluice Box. So put that, whoops, wrong placement of the planks, sticks and 3 slabs, and boom, you have a Sluice Box. So the Sluice Box, whenever you place it, you're going to have the box facing you and this little spigot thing at the bottom facing outward. So in this chest, I do have the iron rocky chunks, and I'm going to take that in a water bucket. Now the Sluice Box was meant to be manual, but there is a way to kind of automate this, and I'm going to, after I show you how the Sluice Box works, we'll get into that. So all you have to do is just right click with your chunks, and it takes a total of 10 or up to a maximum of 10 chunks into the Sluice Box. Right click it with some water, and you have this nice little animation going on. Once it fully runs, then it'll drop everything out of the Sluice Box. So out of this rocky chunks, I have 10 iron chunks, 2 nickel dust, and 1 piece of cobblestone. You have a 100% chance to get a chunk of the type of rocky chunk you threw in, and then the nickel dust and the cobblestone is just extra bonus stuff. Now, the iron rocky chunks, if you're desperate for something, you can actually, iron rocky chunks, you can throw them into a furnace, and it will give you 1 ingot. But by throwing it through the Sluice Box and getting the regular iron chunks, then you can throw them in a furnace to get 2 iron ingots. So this is your basic ore doubling when you start out in MagnetiCraft. Another way that you can do this is, I'm going to remove these, and put another Sluice Box directly in front of, but 1 block down from it. I'm going to take these iron rocky chunks, throw 10 in there, 10 in there, and put a water bucket in. And you can see that the water actually transferred out down into here, and then into this bottom Sluice Box. So you can have multiple sluices running on 1 bucket of water, and get more resources that way. And I also got some aluminum dust out of this one. Now, when I said that there was a way to automate the Sluice Box, I wasn't fibbing, but you can't have it 100% automated. Like I said, they were designed to be the manual process for ore doubling. So I've set this up right here, and it's just 2 Sluice Boxes, a bunch of hoppers. When I say a bunch, it's just 4 hoppers, and a chest. And all I have to do is, boom, put in here, put in the water once, and it will go through, take everything, and throw it into the chest. So you have that way of automating, and it saves you from cluttering up your inventory while you're going through all of this. But this is the best that you can do for automation, unless you have another mod that has an automated user that can simulate the right-clicking required by the Sluice Box. So that's Sluice Boxes, and we're going to be moving on.
So we've handled basic ore doubling. It's about time that we start handling basic power generation. So the first basic power generation you'll probably get into in MagnetiCraft is the small steam engine. The small steam engine requires 3 blocks in order to work: the combustion chamber, the boiler, and of course the small steam engine itself. So we're going to create those blocks right now, starting with, I should probably get my bricks out first. 6 bricks, 1 light iron plate, and 1 iron ingot will make you your combustion chamber. And then light iron plate, and 6 iron ingots will make you your boiler. And then a light iron plate and a piece of paper. And once again, this is a semi-shapeless recipe. So long as the paper and the plate are next to each other on a horizontal axis, you can create... Oh, I guess not. Well, that's very weird. Well, regardless, it is a semi-shapeless recipe. It doesn't matter which side the paper is on, but you can make your small steam engine blueprint. And the blueprints are a little weird, but the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go over the setting up of the boiler and the combustion chamber. So starting with the combustion chamber, set the combustion chamber down, and we took a peek inside it. You'll see that we have a heat setting right here and a fuel setting. So if you throw like a block of coal in there, you'll see that I have fuel 99% and the heat is steadily starting to rise. Now we need this heat to go somewhere, which is where the boiler comes in. If you set the boiler right on top, you see that the heat is starting to rise in the boiler. And all you have to do is supply water to it, and it will start producing some steam. However, water, you don't want to just throw in buckets upon buckets upon buckets. You want to automate this a little bit, which is where iron pipes and the water generator come in. So iron pipes, you're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a piece of glass. You're going to get 12 iron pipes, and the water generator is very easy. All you have to do is just a bucket of water, 4 pieces of glass, and 4 light iron plates, and you have the water generator. The water generator is an infinite water source, so all you have to do is just set it on whatever side you want, and once you put one of the iron pipes on, the water starts flowing in, and I'm starting to produce some steam. One thing to note about the combustion generator, you'll see that the heat is slowly starting to rise here. You can actually right-click this front portion of the block, and it'll actually open it up, and well, the heat should actually be going down, but regardless, I'm going to close that back up again. Okay, it did slow down a little bit, but whenever you open this up, you're going to slow down your heat generation. Yeah. So let's actually set up this steam engine. So when you have one of the blueprints in hand, all you have to do is just right-click, and this little multi-block structure is going to show up, showing every single block that you're going to need in order to make the associated structure. So this is the main block of it, and everything else are blocks that you're going to have to create or obtain in order to make the full multi-block. But we haven't made any of these blocks yet, so let's go over them. The first one that we're going to have to need is a copper coil machine block. We're going to need one of them for the steam engine, and that requires these fine copper wires, iron ingots, and light lead plates. I have all of the materials right here already, ready to go. Oh yes, those copper coils. The copper coils and the motor, which we're going to need later for the machine block. The copper coils are really easy. It's just a light iron plate surrounded by copper ingots. And the motor is a fine copper wire, light iron plates, redstone, iron ingot, and 2 lead ingots. And you get 2 motors for that. But moving on, we're going to create the copper coil machine block, the support column, the iron grate machine block. I didn't... this is the regular machine block. I didn't put the sign up. And the corrugate iron machine block. You'll get 4 of each of these blocks, with the exception of the support column that you'll get 2, and the copper coil machine block you'll only get 1. But onto the copper coil machine block, which is 2 lead plates, 4 iron ingots, the 3 copper wire. Boom, got that. And then we're going to need machine blocks, which are 3 iron plates, 3 lead plates, 2 iron ingots, and 1 motor. You get 4 of those. The iron grates, which honestly you'll be using quite a bit of for most of the multi-block structures in MagnetiCraft, you're going to need a lot of them. But that's a piece of stone and 4 iron bars. The corrugate iron machine block is just 8 light iron plates. And then the last thing that we're going to need for the steam engine are the support columns.
So the support columns are 6 lead plates, 2 iron ingots, and 1 piece of stone. You get 2 of them. So now that we have all these, we can actually start making the machine. So if you look at the top of the multi-block, it'll actually show you what blocks you need, where, and the orientation that it's expecting them at. So what we're going to do is it wants the iron grate machine block. So we'll place down iron grate machines. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the 7th goes right here. So it expects bricks. And I have the bricks over here. It expects 3 bricks. The copper coil machine block goes right here. Next, the support column on the y-axis. So the support columns, I'm going to place this not vertically. I'm going to place it horizontally just to show that it actually does matter with the support columns. I'm going to place this right here. Now that it's on a horizontal axis, it should have updated, honestly, to say that it was the wrong one. But you can see that with the other blocks that I've already placed, the little ghost in the center has actually disappeared for those. So it knows that the iron grate is in a proper location, but I still have the ghost where the support column is supposed to be, because the support column is on a horizontal axis right now, but it wants it on a vertical. There we go. So the ghost has disappeared. It knows that it's in the correct spot. And then where's the other support column go? Oh, right here. So expected orientation axis Y. So it found the support column, but it's on a Z axis right now. Put it on the Y axis, and it moves on to the next block. So corrugate iron. Put that right here. And the last things we need are the machine blocks right on the top. So it knows that it's supposed to be proper at this point. All you have to do is right-click the main block where the blueprint is, and it will become the proper multi-block structure. So let's go grab our boiler and steam generator again, set this up proper, and show you this thing in action. Alright, just like before, I'm going to lay down my combustion generator and put the boiler on top. Put down a water generator, connect it with an iron pipe, and we're going to throw the coal in here. Oh, another way that you can throw in the coal is right-click the combustion generator, right-click it open, and then right-click with whatever your combustible fuel is. And yeah, it's just a little bit more immersive than right-clicking and shift-clicking the block in there. Regardless, we're going to look at the boiler, and water's in there, but no steam's generating, of course, because we're not at the boiling point. So, once the internal generator of the steam generator reaches, I believe, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, the steam will actually start generating for us. And here we go. Yep, at 212.4 degrees Fahrenheit, steam starts generating. So now we want to transfer the steam over to our steam generator. So all I have to do is take our iron pipes again, and this is the incorrect way to do it. I just wanted to show you this. So the iron pipes can connect to the steam generator perfectly fine. But if you see over here, I tested this out a little bit before, but I realized I didn't show this off. Regardless, no steam is actually going to be transferring over here from this side of the block. Steam will only eject from the boiler from the top. So I'm going to move this over here and delete these. And now steam is actually going to be transferring to the steam engine, no problem. So you have to make sure your iron pipe is on the top. Since we're finally at the point where it matters, we're going to create the wrench, and the wrench is made with 3 iron ingots, 2 pieces of redstone, and an iron plate. And the wrench, very handy piece of machinery, actually helps us configure these pipes. So say you had, where are my pipes? We'll put the pipe right here. Say you put a pipe right here, and you didn't want that. So you were having the steam transfer to your steam engine via this way. Well, this looks terrible right here. So you can use the wrench to, if you right-click this area twice, it'll actually go away, and gives it a much cleaner look. But the reason why I went over this way is because this is actually the cleanest way that this looks right now. However, you notice that that first right-click actually turned this orange. This means that this is an output only. So if I wanted to output something from this side, then, which isn't possible with the boiler, this is only an input side. However, if I wanted to output, then you just right-click, and it knows that this pipe, this side of the pipe, can only be used to output, and that's what the orange means. So if you already have a piece of the pipe missing, right-click one more time, the pipe reappears, and it knows that it can be used as an input or an output, and it will prioritize input. And that's the wrench. It has a lot more uses, but as those uses come up, we'll use the wrench for it.
The next item that we're going to create is the Thermopile. And the Thermopile just generates wattage based on a hot and cold block that are next to them. So that is made with 4 light copper plates, 4 ingots, and a machine block. Once you have a Thermopile, all you have to do is set it down. We'll clear out this area right here, and we'll put them right here. So different hot and cold blocks will generate different types of wattage. I'm going to give myself a lava bucket. I'm going to give myself a water bucket. So I'm going to place lava right here, water right here. Yeah, that was pretty stupid, I suppose. Lava right here, and water right here. If you look at this center Thermopile, you see that I am actually generating 11.99 watts, and which is roughly about 6,000 flux per tick. And, wow, okay. The voltage is going up quite a steady bit. But if I replace this water with snow blocks, let's see how that changes things. You see the wattage jumped up to 12.20. And then I believe packed ice is actually the best in vanilla. So let's put in some packed ice. 12.30 wattage. Cool. So yeah, the Thermopiles just work based on what is next to it. So looks like 1 packed ice and 1 lava is 6.23 watts. Next, we'll be making the wind turbine. The wind turbine is actually made with this fabric mesh, which we haven't made yet, but it's just made with 9 string. It's really simple to make. But the wind turbine is made with the machine block, the 4 fabric mesh, and the 4 light iron plates, and boom, we get the wind turbine. The wind turbine operates based on wind, and there can't be anything else around it, and there's a certain distance. I'm going to set all of that up and show you the different wattage generated, the different voltage generated, based on the placement of the block. So I'm going to go set that up and be right back with you. So this goofy looking setup right here is just to show the optimal placement of the wind turbine. So I'm going to be placing the turbine right here. And this is going to be, it's going to be the 8th block up from here, but I have 8 blocks going to the left, 8 blocks going to the right, and 16 blocks going out in front of it. So in order to place the wind turbine, I want it to be facing this direction, so I have to face the direction, place it down, and any second, there we go, a windmill will actually pop up. So if there's not enough room for the turbine to actually generate itself, like I'll put it right here. So since there's not enough room, no turbine will ever generate right here, and it will actually show you that wind not blocked 65%. There is wind, but because there's no actual windmill, it's not going to be generating any wattage, no voltage. So you got to be careful about that. Another thing is, so the 8 blocks to the left and right actually does matter for placing another wind turbine. So if I place another one right here, no windmill will ever populate here because I actually have to place the wind turbine 16 blocks away. I'll place this right here, and another turbine should pop up momentarily. There we go. because it recognizes that I have 8 over this way and then 8 over this way, that there's enough room for another turbine to generate. So the Y level that you place this at also does matter, and I don't know why those turbines just disappeared, but they should regenerate momentarily. There we go. So yeah, I have power generating. Going to take a look at this. So wind not blocked 100%. There is nothing obstructing the wind flow to the turbine, which means it's always going to be generating its maximum wattage if this wasn't full. Since the voltage is full, it's not going to show you the wattage generated, but I'll place another one and take a look at it. There we go. So 22, 30. So this is a very powerful power generation. It just takes a little bit of setting up. Wow, it's almost 60 watts, 62, 63. If I was actually transferring this electricity somewhere, yeah, it's going to start decreasing now. 10,000 joules, and now the wattage is 0. But yeah, that is how the windmills work, and I'm actually going to raise this up quite a bit, place another one at close to world height. And I am at, oh, I'm only at 13 right now. I must have been thinking of a previous version of MagnetiCraft, because there's actually no difference in the wind. The wind is actually worse up here at Y level, I believe I'm at Y level 40 right now, than it was down there. So it's whatever. You can place these wherever you want, so long as that it meets the requirements of 8 by 8 by 16. It's also good to note that this wind is very variable no matter where you place them. So yeah, you just saw that it was at 30, and now for some odd reason it just arbitrarily decided that wind wants to be over 65%. So, however, if I go over to this one, is it going to be 65%? No, this one's still at 47. So, yeah, having multiple windmills generating your, wind turbines generating your electricity is definitely a good idea. But you also have to remember that if anything blocks the turbine, wind blocked 97%. Because it recognizes that even though it's not flush with where the wind turbine is, it recognizes that there's something in the way of its 8 by 8 by 16 area. So I'm going to put that there. Well, put that there. Wind block 96%. And what the heck? We'll just throw a whole bunch of random blocks out here. Wind blocked 91%. So if you want the maximum amount of potential wind that could be here, then yeah, just have to remember to not block your area. But we're going to move on to the next generator now. The next machine is the solar panel, but we can make the blueprint no problem. It just requires a piece of quartz and a piece of paper. But it also requires making electrical machine blocks, which we haven't made yet, and that's light tungsten plates and lapis. So let's make those real quick. Block of quartz in the center, the 4 pieces of lapis, and then the 4 light tungsten plates, and I have to rotate this. There we go. Electrical machine blocks. So, just like with the steam generator, just like any blueprint, all you have to do is right-click, and it'll show you what you have to do. So, it just wants those 8 electrical machine blocks. And then right-click the center block, and boom. You have a solar panel. So you'll notice that it's sticking up right now, and this is where the power port actually is. This is where you take power from. But let's change the time. So, time set, let's change it to, oh no, 0600. You see that the solar panels will actually rotate depending on the placement of the sun, and what it's generating will not actually tell me. Regardless, what it's generating depends on the time of day, and yeah, that's pretty much what the solar panels are. The last generator that we're going to be constructing is the solar tower, and the solar tower generates heat based on the amount of solar mirrors that are linked to it. So, we're going to create the
solar tower first, which requires a light tungsten plate. We got that blueprint. And the next blueprint are the solar mirrors. So we're going to place the solar tower right... find a good amount of space. Yeah, sure, we'll place it right here. So we'll have that right here. I'm going to set this up using all of the blocks that we've already used. And then I'm going to show you how to link the solar mirrors to it. Alright, give it a right click, and here is the solar tower. So I'm actually going to dig underneath it to show you that this is where you actually take the heat from. So like I said, this is not like the solar panel. It doesn't generate power from the placement of the sun. This actually generates heat from the placement of the sun, and then that heat can go wherever you need it to. It also does, by default, generate a little bit of wattage, but you'll mostly be using this to transfer heat around. And now that we have the solar tower, let's set up some solar mirrors. So, whoops, my bad. You have to make sure that you have this placed properly. So there we go. I'm going to place one of these on each side, or at least on 3 of the sides. Yeah, here we go. So these are really simple. All they require is some machine blocks and then some corrugate iron machine blocks. There we go. There's one. And then I'm going to just create the last 2, and then I'll show you how to link them together. Once again, it's another change that is different to me. You see that the heat right now is 378 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to activate this and hit this button right here. And once I hit this button, I should be, yep, I'm receiving some heat. So I'm receiving 16 watts worth of heat. Activate this one, 16 watts, click the button, 32 watts. And then click this one. Once again, 48 watts. Awesome. So you get 16 watts worth of heat on the solar tower. And this actually used to be a lot more interactive. It's not as interactive as I remember it being. In any case, so you'll see that my heat is now steadily starting to go up. So I need to transfer this heat somewhere. Because once this reaches a maximum amount of heat, and the mod by default goes by Celsius, but I changed it to Fahrenheit, is because I'm American. I go by Fahrenheit, and I can't convert that off the top of my head. So once this reaches a certain amount, the solar tower will actually melt. And I am going to wait for that to happen and set up as many mirrors as necessary in order for that to happen, because I just want to show you what it looks like when this thing is actually melting. Alright, it's reaching its maximum now, which means it should be starting to melt. So 7,000. Wow, it is actually another thing that is apparently unfinished with this mod. Since it's been abandoned, there it goes. Alright, yeah, it just melted and became lava. So, yeah, I gotta clean that up before it starts melting everything. But that is what happens once it reaches a certain level. So let me clean this up real quick. Alright, I've reset it back up, but I'm actually not going to activate it until I am ready to show you how to take care of the heat mechanic and where to actually throw it. So, yeah, that is the end of all of the generation options in the mod, but now we're going to move on to how to actually store that and move it around. One last aside before moving on. It should be worth noting that the solar mirrors can actually go 25 blocks away from the solar tower before it stops being recognized. So you can have quite a few of these mirrors. You just have to make sure that you can make up for all of the heat that's going to be generated the more mirrors that you have. But this is by far the best way to generate power in the mod, with the biggest drawback of having it melt once you reach the heat threshold. Now that we've handled power generation, we got to work on power storage and power transferring. So for that, we have electric connectors. You get 8 of those for this recipe. You have copper coils, the electric cables, small batteries, and then the battery block. I'm going to make all of these up right now. So the connectors are 2 pieces of stone, 1 piece of copper, and 1 piece of iron. and you get 8 electrical connectors. Then the copper coil is 4 copper ingots with a light iron plate. Boom, got the copper coil. Electric cables, 4 pieces of leather with copper in the center. The battery, I guess we should probably make the small battery first, but 2 pieces of sulfur, 4 lead plates, 2 iron nuggets, and the copper nugget gets you a small battery. And then using 3 of those small batteries, an iron grate machine block, and 5 iron plates. I should probably put, there we go, 5 iron plates, you have the battery block. So with all of these, you can actually start storing your energy. And I have updated the Thermopile setup that I had going on right now. I'm going to connect the electrical connectors by shift right-clicking on the Thermopiles. The electric connectors will attach to it. And then, what the heck, we'll place the battery block right here. So you see this little hole right here. This is a connector for another electric connector. So you right-click right there, and then you can start connecting cable to it. So this copper coil is actually, for all intents and purposes, infinite. I'm going to go into survival mode real quick. And I'm going to shift right-click the electric connector. And you see that the position updated, position whatever this position is. And then, without holding shift, right-click the battery block, or the electric connector on the battery block, and the cable will connect. We can look inside the battery block and see that voltage is rising. I'm getting some joules, which is the just the overall storage inside this battery block, and the positive wattage needed to generate that. So I can connect all of these cables. Shift right-click, 4 and 5. Take a look at the battery block again, and you'll see that I am positive. This is probably going to mellow out at about 60 or 90. Yeah, around 60. But I still have the proper voltage, and my joules are still raising much faster than they were before because I have 5 of these connectors attached to this battery block. I'm going to go over here to the solar panel. Put this right here. 1 more electric connector, and then the copper coil. Oh, sorry. Connection right here. Shift right-click, and look at the battery block. So, voltage is going up. Once the voltage reaches where its peak is, it's actually going to decide where the wattage is. So, cool. I am now filling 97 watts inside this battery block. Awesome. The solar panel is doing some good for us. I've broken the electric connection on the Thermopile to show you the electric cables. So I am going to, boom. I've just connected the electric cable, and here we go. Alright, it's mellowing out. So the electric cable worked the same way as the electric connector, just with this handy-dandy cable interface instead. The wires are actually, that's really weird. I've never noticed that before. The electric cable took the property of the ice that was underneath it. Cool. In any case, so yeah, electric cables are always a option for you to use as well, especially for something that's close quarters. The wires are used for something that's a little bit more long distance, and I'm about to get into that momentarily. Now that we've actually created machines and a battery, we can finally go over what each of these gauges actually means inside MagnetiCraft machines. So, as I said at the beginning of the video, MagnetiCraft tries to simulate real-life electricity as best that it can, as best as Minecraft will allow. So you have a voltage indicator, a wattage indicator, and a joules indicator. Joules being the internal capacity of a battery, wattage being how much power is being input into the battery, and then voltage is what is actually allowing the joules, the capacity of the battery to be maintained. So I'm going to go over here to this Thermopile, and you see that this Thermopile is at 125.04 volts, which is the maximum amount. The internal battery is 10,000 joules, and it's maxed out, and the wattage is 0.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect an electrical connector here, and boom, boom. We're going to take a look at the thermopile again. You'll see that the internal battery is now drained. It has transferred over to the battery block. And the voltage has actually tried to normalize itself with the battery block. So within a network, the voltage is always going to try to maintain itself as evenly as possible. So if I connect all wires to this, then the network is going to try to keep itself evened out at around 90 volts. And so I am gaining 12 watts and filling up 12 watts per tick, or 12 joules per tick, into the internal battery on a voltage of 90 volts. Now that I am actually have evened out, you'll see that this 12.30 that's transferring over here, there's a little bit of resistance in between, but yeah, it's trying to maintain itself at around 12.30 watts in order to fill up this internal battery. And that is very, very basically how this is actually working, which is indicative of, I'm just going to destroy this right here. You see that the voltage is now steadily starting to rise. There's nothing resisting the path. So the voltage is going to rise to about 125 again, at which point the wattage will drop. Here we go. So maximum voltage, I'm going to start charging the internal battery. Once the internal battery is charged up, the battery recognizes that there's no more need for it to generate any sort of wattage to fill up the internal battery, and it is going to drop. And that is basically how electricity works with MagnetiCraft. It's not RF per tick, it's not forge energy or anything like that. It's all based on the voltage in your network. So I'm going to show that one more time with the solar panel that I was doing earlier. So I'm going to break this again, place it, put on an electrical connector and then this wire, and you'll see that no wattage is being generated right now because the voltage hasn't evened itself out across the network. Now that it's evened it out at around 91 volts, you'll see that some wattage is starting to be gained. Now that the wattage is starting to be gained, the battery is starting to fill up. The battery block's internal battery. Since I can't actually look inside the solar panel, this is just a really good way to show you that wattage won't be generated unless voltage is evened out across the network, and your internal batteries will not fill until things are evened out across the network. The book actually, in the best way that it does explain it, and of course I can't find it right now, but probably the most clear thing that it says is, here we go. Every block has the same voltage. However, the generator will try to make the voltage higher, and the machines will try to make the voltage lower. And that's using something called Ohm's law. So it's just taking resistance into account. So that is why, now that it's as evened out as it possibly can be across the network, you're starting to gain some wattage, and you're starting to fill up an internal battery. Now, obviously, whenever you're transferring power, you don't just want to use the copper coil route, and I just use a bunch of electrical cables or electrical connectors. So there are other ways, the first of which being electrical poles. I'm going to turn that off for a second. You have electrical poles, electrical pole transformers, heat pipes, insulated heat pipes, and there are two different ways that you can make those insulated heat pipes. So let's go ahead and make those up. So first you're going to want the electrical poles, which are just 2 pieces of wood, and 3 of the electrical connectors. You get 3 electrical poles. Next thing you're going to want to make is the transformer. So another one of the electrical connectors, copper ingots, and light lead pipes. And you'll get electrical pole transformers. Next, copper plate, surround with iron ingots, and you'll get 5 heat pipes. And then in order to make the insulated heat pipes, there are 2 different ways. You can either put your heat pipes in a cross pattern and then surround it with bricks, and that will give you 5 insulated heat pipes. Or you can do the other variant, which is the regular heat pipe recipe surrounded by bricks, and you get the insulated heat pipes. Awesome. So let's show you how to use these. I have the same battery setup that I had before, which is the thermopiles connected to this battery block. And I have another battery block over there. And just for
safety's sake, we'll put one more electrical connector on it. Here we are. So, I'm going to put down a electrical pole right about here. And I'm going to attempt to connect the electrical pole to the battery block, but it says unable to connect wire. The reason for that being is that these electrical connectors cannot attach to the electrical pole without the help of the electric pole transformer. So once you select that, you'll see it's angled down a little bit. So connect to again and try to connect it to the pole. And now you'll see that I have the wire connected to the battery. So now I'm ready to transfer all of the battery power over here. So I'm going to place down another battery. What is the placement over here? Just 2 blocks in between. So another electrical pole over here. Another transformer so that I can actually connect this battery block. And then you'll see that it automatically connected all of the wires. There's more than enough room to do it. So I just have to boom, boom. Oh, wrong way. Here we go. And you'll see that I have voltage attempting to equalize itself across the network. And now I'm starting to gain some wattage. Awesome. And this battery block over here is starting to transfer over. Or is starting to fill up. And that is how the electrical poles work. Now we're going to go on to the heat pipes. I'm back over here at the solar tower, and I've reactivated it, but I haven't connected any of the solar towers to it. So I'm going to do that right now. See that, oh yeah, heat's going up crazy right now. And I have a insulated heat pipe connected over here, and then another insulated heat pipe connected to a boiler. I haven't made any machines that actually use heat as a source, except for the boiler, so that's what I'm going to be showing you. So I'm also going to use the regular heat pipe and connect it over here, just so I can and see how the heat's doing. So the heat's actually going down quite a bit, lucky for us, and the heat is transferring over here. I'm going to go back into survival mode, and you see that when I'm touching this insulated heat pipe, nothing's happening to me. But the second I touch the regular heat pipe, I'm starting to burn up. So that's the reason why you have the insulated heat pipes. It just keeps you from getting hurt whenever you touch one of the pipes. But yeah, heat's starting to raise once more because I actually don't have any of the steam generated here. Yeah, the boiler isn't being used for anything, so eventually this is going to overheat and melt again. But that is what the heat pipes are for. So I've just looked through all of the footage, and I actually think I'm going to break this into 2 parts. I've gone over the basic stuff, energy generation and energy transferring. And in next episode, I'm going to go over all of the individual machines that MagnetiCraft offers you. I am Kelly Engineering, and I hope that you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you in part 2. Bye-bye.